I asked yesterday if you knew what kind of quality the integrity you have is. I was presuming that most of us would figure at some level we have some level of integrity, but when it comes to quantifying it or determining if it's good enough or if it's substandard, that's where there might be a little bit of uncertainty as to how to properly assess the quality of integrity that we have. Yesterday, we looked at what good quality integrity looks like. Today, I want to contrast it with what bad quality integrity looks like. And I want to help you to determine where on the spectrum you might lie so that you can make some appropriate shifts or changes should that be necessary in your context as you're experiencing your world. So, bad quality integrity, what does that look like and how do we avoid it? I want to address that towards the end of the video, so stay tuned. The biggest difference between bad quality integrity and good quality integrity is in the word that we discovered yesterday when we considered good quality integrity. We said the key ingredient to good quality integrity was the word consistency. Consistency in application of living out one's internal values externally. There's an alignment between what you say and what you will do, and that is a key ingredient, is that consistency, especially over time. Applying oneself to integrity once in a while doesn't lend a lot of credibility. You can't really trust that is going to always be the case. Consider a franchise, for example. When you go to a franchise restaurant, there's a way that they produce their products so that it's the same every time. Whenever you go to any one of those restaurants and you buy a burger, you want that burger to have the same consistency and quality over time. Not saying, that is to say, it's not really going to be a productive franchise if you show up one time and it's an amazing experience and then the next 5 times it's an abysmal experience. There's a way that they try to produce consistency over time, and in the same way, that's what we're aiming for when we are looking at good quality integrity. Not just once in a while when you're like making decisions that align with your internal frame of reference, but more so in a consistent, ongoing way. And this is critical because as we live in community, we are learning how to be able to engage and interact in a way that is stable, in a way that has consistency, in a way that has dependability. And being a participant in that setting, we also want to be perceived as such. Now, by contrast, the difference between good quality integrity and bad quality integrity comes in the lack of consistency. If good quality integrity has consistency as its ballast, as its foundational support, bad quality integrity, by contrast, is inconsistent. Now, I need to make a really important point here after I cough. Excuse me. Bad quality integrity does not entail the absence of integrity. I want to make that really clear. Bad quality integrity does not mean the absence of integrity. It just means that the expressions of integrity in bad quality integrity are inconsistent. They don't have momentum that continue to build it and help it to grow into this stabilizing, formidable, dependable source that others can acknowledge and say, hey, that level of integrity is really good quality integrity. Bad quality integrity, again, is not the absence of integrity. It just is the inconsistency of integrity applied in one's life. Really important distinction there. So the contrast again is in that keyword consistency or lack thereof. And so I hope this is going to start helping you determine for yourself where you fit along that spectrum of good quality integrity, where you have tremendous amount of consistency that continues to build up your credibility, your dependability, the way that people acknowledge and respect your level of behavior, versus bad quality where it's not, again, the absence of integrity, it's just the inconsistency of that integrity applied, whereby those around you are not certain if they can depend on your word when you say you'll do something, because you don't always do what you say you'll do, or they don't have a strong level of confidence that you're going to behave in the same way every time. So you might be honest one time and dishonest many other times, and that lends towards discrediting the quality of your integrity. I hope that makes sense. Again, big difference, that word consistency, and how it's applied in your expression of integrity. So yesterday we looked at 4 key elements of what good quality integrity might include. We started off with honesty with oneself specifically. That's where it all starts. It all starts here. If you're trying to start your expressions of integrity with an eye outside of you to try and please those around you, you're starting at the wrong spot. The pursuit and the journey towards integrity really starts inside here, inside your heart, inside your commitments to saying, here's what I find compelling in life. Here's what I want to apply myself to. So it starts with you, first of all, touching base with yourself, with you knowing yourself well enough. And we looked at some of those elements yesterday when we said good quality integrity is the kind of integrity that is really aware of one's strengths and one's weaknesses in a very honest way. You're looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, what do I see when I see myself? Not only physiologically, maybe you are looking at yourself and you're saying, I need to maybe start having healthier eating habits so that I can bring down my weight. I need to perhaps start working out at the gym so that I can get more fit and more healthy. Perhaps that's one way of looking at it physiologically for starters, but then also look past the physiology inside of yourself. Consider where are some of your amazing aspects or some of your amazing traits that you inhabit internally as far as your character. Maybe you're someone who is really patient. Perhaps you're someone who really has a lot of love to give, or you're someone who serves others with loyalty, or some of these are some amazing traits that you might have inside of you. I want you to take a moment and acknowledge what those are. When you look at yourself, what are some of the amazing things that you know about yourself that others would also acknowledge, saying, yeah, you've definitely got these amazing, beautiful traits. Take a moment, explore what those are, and then go a little further and consider where are those areas in your life that you know you struggle. Perhaps you are dishonest. Perhaps you are one who struggles with insecurity. Perhaps you're one who has an anger problem. What are those character challenges that you're working through that you know are on your radar? Honesty means being able to identify those without diminishing it, saying, ooh, I know I'm not an easy person to be around because of X, Y, and Z, or I know that these are areas that I struggle with internally, and I'm going to acknowledge that they're there. That's a really important starting place, is that honesty. We went on to talk about what honesty with yourself looks like when it comes to being aware of what your true value sets are. Not the ones that you grew up with, not the ones that were taught and indoctrinated to you over time that you're like, I guess I don't have an option, even though I struggle to fulfill these, and that's part of my experience. But even more so, what does it look like for you to be able to be aware of what you're working with internally and how you're applying yourself with consistency along the lines of knowing what you really believe and why you believe it? That's a really important component there. And we finished off in the honesty department towards oneself, saying, but how do I really behave? Do the values that I hold also flesh out in the way I behave? Or is there inconsistency there? Is there ways that I am discrediting myself by my actions, and you're being aware of how that looks and how that actually is in real life? These are really important ways of looking at oneself honestly that build up your credibility, especially in the way you apply your integrity. This is what continues as you do this on an ongoing basis through the years that are coming, where that level of integrity that you embark on continues to increase in its quality to become good quality integrity. How to avoid bad quality integrity is to do this whole process, but with inconsistency. Not in the absence of it, but with inconsistency. And what I mean by this is only once in a while do you take a check on yourself to consider what your strengths and weaknesses are, especially the challenges that you're working through. When you only do this once in a while, you don't gain any momentum in growing and becoming something better. You don't start keeping track of all these things. And the question is, why would you do it in the first place if you're only doing it half-heartedly? In 12-step programs, they have this phrase that says, half-hearted measures did not avail us. In other words, it's a way of saying when we apply ourselves only partially, then we're not really fully in the game. We're just partially in the game. And you know what? It's like when a coach has that kind of a player on the field where once in a while they think about running for the ball and trying to make a play. Other times they just kind of sit around watching the game roll by them. That coach is going to pull that player right off the field and say, you're not really serious about being on the field. I'm going to put someone else who is serious about this. In the same way, my question for you to consider is, how are you as far as a player in this field of integrity? Are you one of those players that is actively engaged in pursuing it, or are you just haphazardly engaging once in a while or not? Because that's not the kind that continues to build momentum and help you strive towards becoming better. Consider if your quality of integrity is also poor in the way that you are aligning with your internal values. Do you even know what they are, or do you only think about that once in a while? Good quality integrity is the kind where you're continuing to pursue this on an ongoing daily basis, touching base with yourself, being aware of what makes you you. What are the values that really, really matter to you? Where are your non-negotiables? Where are your lines that you draw? Where are the boundaries that you have in relation to your value system? How well do you know those? Knowing those really well and committing yourself, especially in the follow-through of action, continues to build that momentum towards good quality integrity. Absence in the consistency of pursuing these brings down your level or your grade of quality, or the quality of your integrity. And so it's, again, not the absence of integrity that's applied, it's the inconsistency. I'm hoping that this point is coming through loud and clear. Second element that we were considering yesterday that builds good quality integrity comes with the practice or the application of self-discipline. How committed are you to ensuring that the values that you hold are being fleshed out in the actions that are coming forth from those values? If you say, I really believe it's important for me to speak my mind honestly, but you find yourself continuing to cut corners and say, ooh, that was an opportunity. I could have spoken my mind with honesty and tactfulness, but I didn't. There's a discord there between your value system and the actions that you're taking. If you're finding that you're struggling with your eating habits and you're struggling with your weight, for example, and you're like, okay, my value is to watch my eating habits and to go and work out. And then you find yourself cutting corners more often than not, you are depleting that integrity because you're only doing it once in a while instead of like consistently in the way that you know you need to. So practicing self-discipline continues to build that quality of integrity towards the good category when you apply self-discipline and say, I'm going to be regimented in the way I'm eating and what I'm eating and going and making sure that my schedule reflects time for the gym and self-care and all those components. That continues to build towards that. But if you only did once in a while saying, I don't feel like it today, then you start seeing a depletion of that quality of integrity towards bad quality. And you can avoid that by applying self-discipline. Third element we talked about was being accountable for your actions and your choices that you've taken along the way in life. Being accountable and taking ownership for where you've been and what you've done. And this includes owning up to mistakes that you make, and even doing so when it's at great personal cost. Sometimes it is that great personal cost that causes people to sort of flinch and say, ooh, I want to do it until it hurts. Then I want to sort of pull back. My dear listener, listen, it isn't possible to progress towards good quality integrity if you're flinching even at the personal cost that it may be high when you apply yourself towards the path of integrity. That starts to diminish and deplete that quality towards the bad quality integrity. So what it looks like for you is to take ownership, take accountability, and proceed to what you need to. And this requires courage. It requires guts. It's totally legitimate to reach out for support to a friend saying, I know I have a conversation I need to have and I'm really uncomfortable about having this conversation, but I need to follow through on it. And so I just wanted some support perhaps to get the courage to go through what I need to on my end. That is totally legitimate and encouraged, especially for your own self-care. And that continues to help you progress in your quality of integrity. And finally, we were talking about building trust with others. We were saying that we are living in community. This is why we're having this conversation on integrity. I made the argument that integrity is meaningless if you do not find yourself in community. If you're the only person living in this world, integrity is a moot point. You would not need to attend to it. But because we're living in community with others around us, this is why we talk about integrity. And what does it look like for us to do the right thing in a value system that acknowledges that there's those around us that we also have to acknowledge and account for in the impact of our behaviors as it relates to them. So this means, what does it look like for you to be reliable, to be consistent, to be dependable on an ongoing, consistent basis? When you only apply yourself once in a while, haphazardly to these values, then you continue to diminish that quality of your integrity. Doing otherwise, however, enables you to be able to walk with full confidence into this space and to be able to do what you need to do by way of saying, I'm here to bring a level of integrity on my own towards this opportunity. And I'm going to do so with a consistency of walking through what I need to walk through. So once again, in summation, the key difference, the key difference between good quality integrity and bad quality integrity is not the absence of quality in one from the other. Both of them equally have integrity on display. The key difference is the consistency in which it's applied. Good quality integrity has a tremendous amount of consistency that continues to build up its repository for a ballast of dependability and credibility. Bad quality does not have any credibility or dependence upon it because it's only applied once in a while. It's not saying that it's not there, it is there, but it's just only once in a while that it's applied. So my question for you, my dear listener, is where do you stand now that you have a contrast, a spectrum to be able to determine where your application of your integrity is? Is it only once in a while on the bad quality side? Or is your application of integrity on the consistent side, therefore building you towards this good quality grade integrity? It is possible for you to move along those lines. It's possible for someone who has good quality integrity to start being inconsistent, and then you'll see the depletion of that quality towards bad quality integrity. And it's possible for someone who is in the bad quality integrity, that means one who's inconsistent in their actions and their values, to start progressing and increasing that value towards the good as they infuse consistency. Again, consistency is that key element that lends one towards good quality integrity. It is possible for you, my dear listener, to progress in your experience of good quality integrity. And as you do so, may I remind you that you're not doing it for others around you, you're doing it for yourself first and foremost. It just so happens that those around you also benefit from that commitment, and they give you the credibility and the dependability that says, we know that when you say you'll do something, you'll do it. You're committed because you've shown over time your consistency. Sometimes you may find yourself in a new setting where they may not know you well enough, and so they do not know what kind of integrity, what kind of quality your integrity is. You may be starting a new job. You might be coming into a new group of friends, for example. They have no idea because they don't know you well enough. It's important for you to consider the good quality integrity in contrast to the bad quality integrity, and they're going to find out by watching you, and they are watching you over time to find out, how is this individual? Are they consistent in their application and the opportunities to exercise integrity? It is possible for you, my dear listener, to move towards the good. I want to encourage and inspire you to consider what that looks like for you today. Consider where you've been and how you've applied yourself and how you can start moving in that trajectory. It is possible for you. I want to encourage you to join me in the same commitment. This is why I am so compelled to commit myself in this trajectory, because it means a lot for me. It means a lot for me to move towards this trajectory of good quality integrity, and I want to be around those who are also likewise inclined. It means that sometimes I may falter, I may goof up, but that is what I am as a human being. I am one who is messy. I'm going to make some wrong decisions. I'm going to make some wrong choices along the way. But even as I fumble and I see that quality decrease, I have the ability to say, okay, time to re-engage with consistency and move back again. I want to encourage you to join me in that journey. Your experience of integrity is one of the beautiful things that makes life sweet. It makes life clear. You're able to know what you're about and where you're going and what makes you you. And then you're able to present that in the context of community in a beautiful, compelling way. I want you to be part of my community here as I continue to inspire others towards integrity and what that looks like in their life. That's why we have these conversations on a daily basis. I want to invite you to be part of that conversation. Please, if you've not done so, subscribe and join this community that I'm collating. And I would love to hear your responses, your ideas, your thoughts, even as you are engaging with the ones I'm proposing to you today as you're listening to this talk. Drop me a comment down below. I would love to see and engage with you there as well. But thank you for taking the time to join me today. I hope you have a fantastic day as you pursue good quality integrity and as you move away from bad quality integrity. We'll talk to you on the next round. Bye for now.